Was promised on my News Nation show, Banfield, and shout out to News Nation, 10 p.m. Eastern. I have a crime show, a true crime show. You got to check it out. I asked these two extraordinarily brilliant women, two of the sharpest legal minds in the business, to weigh in. One was former R. Kelly prosecutor Maria Cruz Melendez, who knows a thing or two about sex trafficking and racketeering, because she won the case. And criminal defense attorney Sarah Azari, who feels like they haven't done it, that the government hasn't done it. I asked them to weigh in on this rodeo, right, that they've been at. Sarah is not so sure that the prosecutors are going to win this, that they're going to get their man, right? But I don't know, Maria Melendez, she feels like it's pretty strong. Here's what they told me about which side has the upper hand right now.
Maria Cruz Melendez. She's a former federal prosecutor who handled multiple organized crime cases, in particular the R. Kelly conviction, which, may I remind you, was sex trafficking and racketeering in the Southern District. And Sarah Azari is a criminal defense attorney and News Nation legal analyst, and also one of our favorites. Ladies, so good to have you both. I cannot wait for this conversation. Maria, Diddy's team bailed. They decided they were not going to mount a case. They were not going to, well, they put a few things on the record, but they weren't going to call a single witness. Do you believe, with all of your background and experience, that they really did think the government didn't meet its burden? Or do you believe that they couldn't find an unimpeachable witness to get up there and sing Diddy's praises without risk of the prosecution tearing them to ribbons?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, they're weighing whether or not they can make the arguments that they want to make on closing without giving access to the prosecution, to witnesses where they could make additional points. And so is it possible that they had a number of witnesses that could have provided helpful information? I think that's absolutely the case. But to use your word, would they have been unimpeachable? Probably not. I think they would have given access to the prosecution to make additional points. And you mentioned earlier the fact that the defense doesn't have a burden. They don't need to put a case on. And so I think at the end of the day, what they're going to end up relying on is the fact that they think the government hasn't met each and every one of the elements that they're supposed to meet.
So, Sarah, I know from watching so much of your coverage, you have not felt at any point in this trial, to my knowledge, that the prosecution has mounted a racketeering and sex trafficking case. I don't know if you feel the same way about transportation for the purpose of prostitution.